So, bit of a brief introduction about myself. I'm Tony. I am a final year medical student at University of Otago. So I originally came to New Zealand when I was 16 as an international student, and then moved down to Dunedin to study at University of Otago. So as a continuation of my previous video, I did get a job as a junior doctor, also known as PGY1 medical resident, house officer here in New Zealand in Whanganui or Wanganui. It's this small little city that's about 2 hours north of Wellington. And just in case if you haven't seen the last video, I basically talked about how as an international student, we're placed as a category 3 applicant, meaning we get the least priority out of all the job applicants. So in this video, I'll go through my application process and what are some of the things that you should do or consider to increase your odds. The New Zealand first year house officer jobs are all done through a system called ACE RMO. Essentially what you need is a CV, 3 references, and a cover letter. For the CV, they have a template on their website that shows you exactly what needs to be included. And for the reference, you will need 3 references from your final year of med school. And last thing but not the least is your cover letter. And essentially you want to write about why you are a suitable candidate for this hospital, as well as why you would love to work there. So these can include things like social factors, whether if you have friends and family there. So for instance, for Dunedin, I wrote down that I have tons of established social connection here, as well as a love for winter sports like skiing. And then essentially what you need to do is you'll need to rank all the hospitals based on your preference from the most we want to go to the least that you want to go. And when I was doing this part, I essentially made a mistake by thinking that I should factor in which hospital I would most likely to get into. So definitely rank the hospital based on where you absolutely most want to go to the place that you least want to go, because the hospital won't be able to see your ranking of them, and there's no such thing as you'll only get into a certain place if you put them as a first preference. So here are some of the things that I factored in when I choose whether a smaller hospital or bigger hospital in New Zealand. So within New Zealand, no matter which hospital you work in, you're all getting paid the same. There's no such things as if you work rural, you get paid extra, which used to be a thing and they took that away. So one of the most important things that you should base your decision on is choosing between a regional hospital versus a hospital that's located in a major city. So picking between Timaru versus Dunedin or Wanganui versus Wellington. The general vibes is that when you work in these regional hospitals, you get more early on hands-on experiences. So you also tend to work more hours. Whether if that's a good thing or a bad thing for you, you will get paid for those extra hours worked. It's not like you're just doing extra volunteering work. If you plan on going down a surgical pathway, you tend to get a lot more early surgical hands-on experiences. Obviously, I haven't experienced those things myself, but it is consistent with most people's experiences that I've talked to. And for bigger centers, what you tend to get is you do have more protected breaks and leaves. It's because there's more staff, more doctors. But what you would lose accordingly is because there is a lot of doctors and there is a hierarchy that everyone's trying to get those experiences. So it always comes down to the more senior doctors that's in their training that gets the hands-on experiences, and as more junior doctors, you're more likely to just be a paperwork monkey within those environments. The city, of course, itself has its own things to offer. You get a way better social life, and if you're in like a university town like Dunedin, you have that additional connection with the university researchers, and that could potentially help you to get more research experiences if that's something you're aiming for. Some of these information may not be 100% accurate, and I'll certainly update these if I hear anything different or if my work experiences say otherwise. So when it comes to actually landing the job you want, unfortunately as a Cat 3 applicant, we don't really get a lot of options. As it's stipulated by the ASRMO, the hospitals will have to fill out the positions with the Cat 1 and the Cat 2 applicants before it comes to the Cat 3 applicants. So what is always helpful is that every hospital has this thing called a RMO Office, and they are in charge of all the recruitment and choosing the applicants. So it's always worthwhile to be in touch with them. So for instance, all my friends that happen to get the Dunedin hospital have already reached out to the ACE RMO office before the selection process, because within a vast pool of names that they're looking at, the hospital also ideally want to choose people that would pick them first and would really love to work in Dunedin as well. But the thing is, they can't see the ranking of each applicant. They don't know who ranked Dunedin first, who's ranking Dunedin maybe as their 6th. So if you talk to them prior to the application process, they'll be able to recognize your name during the selection process and prioritize you over the other applicants. If you literally just search up Dunedin Hospital RMO, it'll come up with names and email contacts that you can reach out to. So another thing is, if you're reaching out to one of the bigger centers like Wellington, there is a interview process. So personally, I didn't apply to Wellington, so I didn't quite know what exactly is involved in the interview, but I've talked to a few friends who had these kind of things, and essentially I think they ask you a few questions. Some are medically related, some are not, to sort of see if you're a team player, why you want to apply for positions like this, your communication skills, and your decision-making skills. So for my fellow international students who decided to start your medical school journey in New Zealand and wanting to stay in New Zealand after you graduate, so here are some of the things that's definitely worth keeping in mind. Even if you think you have really good references from everyone, even if you think you have a really strong CV whatsoever, when it comes to your final year in med school, do not plan anything ahead before you hear back from your final application result, because you really don't know where you're gonna get, and sometimes it can be really unexpected. And personally, from what I heard, there's really no such thing as you're missing out on clinical experiences, or if you're gonna have a better or worse career development if you work at a certain hospital. The differences between these hospitals at the end of the day is minor, and it's really about making the most out of what you get. Do your research about the place and just fully enjoy what the city have to offer to you. At least personally, when I find that when I transitioned from Beijing to Auckland and then to Dunedin and then next year to Wanganui, essentially going from like a smaller places. Kiwis, they have a very different way of living their life compared to a lot of us that come from a much bigger city. And when I initially came here, I found the entire New Zealand to be really quiet. But the thing is, the more you embrace the culture, the more you find that this place is a true paradise. The whole nature aspect of things is absolutely extraordinary. And eventually you'll gravitate yourself towards things that I've never thought I would enjoy ever in my life. When I was growing up in Beijing, when it comes to the weekends, it's always be like, hey, let's go to a shopping mall. Let's go karaoke, let's go get meals from this and this restaurant. Whereas in New Zealand, the weekend always turns out to be, hey, let's just go to the beach, hey, let's go for a walk, hey, let's throw some frisbee around, hey, let's go for a tramp. It's a different kind of entertainment, but I've been finding it really enjoyable. Anyways, let me know if you have any questions. You can find my email down below. Sometimes I won't reply straight away, but I'll try to answer your question in a future video. And I'll see you next time.